What is going on, guys? It's Caleb here, and in today's video I'm gonna talk about some design fundamentals, especially for the page layout and page composition. So I think it really doesn't matter what kind of graphic designer you are. You can be designing for logo, you can be designing for websites, menu, banner, poster, whatever, that you have to combine some contents like text and images and buttons and all that into a canvas. And that is, I think that is what page layout or composition is about. And I think this is a very important fundamentals that you have to learn, because once when you get that, then your page is going to flow a lot better. And it's just super important, if not the most important thing about graphic design. And I didn't learn about it in school. Like, I went there for 3 years and my teacher didn't really tell me that. And I learned about it in my very first job that I tell you guys about before as well, working at a magazine company. And this is the magazine that I used to design for, and it's a coupon magazine. And I remember this, I can't really zoom in like that because my camera didn't set up that way, but this was the very first ads that I've ever done in my design career. And this magazine was about like 10 years ago, and I'm still keeping it right now. And I used to have a mentor, so he used to taught me a lot of things about graphic design, and he's a Japanese designer, super talented. These are some of the work that he has done before, and you can tell that his work is definitely a lot better than what I did, because I learned nothing about it. And he used to teach me a lot about how do you create graphic like this, how can you combine images with the contents and everything on a page, and just make him tidy, make him like just look good in general. And this is some of his work as well, where you can see that it's just very beautiful. And basically what this video is about is I'm gonna transfer whatever he taught me before, the concept, the theory and all that about page layout to you guys. So this is what like the transfer of knowledge kind of things. But before I start this video, I do want to say that this video is sponsored by Elements. And if you don't already know what Element is a platform for graphic designer or for video designer to find assets on Elements. And they also have the brother called Theme Forest, and you may have know about them. They're basically under the same umbrella. But for Elements, you can, if you're a graphic designer, you can go in there and find a bunch of graphic design assets. You can find some mockups. So mock up your computer and stuff. You can find UI and UX kits. You can find some infographic. You can also find a bunch of stock photos on Elements as well. They also sell that, and they also sell a bunch of fonts too. Very high quality products and stuff, right? And one of my job that I used to work at, I have to constantly updating the website based on client requirements, and or creating poster and all that for them, right? So for example, if the client said that Christmas is coming up and I would like to update the website and just create a page or create a poster for Christmas, then usually what I would have done is to go on Elements and then to find the graphic for that type of things, right? So for example, I can go to graphic design templates and I just type in Christmas illustration, right? Then you can basically just use this kind of graphic to your design, and it's just very beautiful. If you look at that, this is very high quality design assets that you can find on Elements, right? So what I would have done is just basically download the entire thing, right? I already have an account with them, which is free for 1 month, and that is the account that I'm using right now. And you guys can also sign up for free for 1 month, and you can download whatever assets that you want, right? So you can just click download, and that is or automatically save in your computer. So that is great. And the reason why I work with Elements on this video is because in the later part of this video, I'm gonna create a poster. And the poster is just basically a way for me to demonstrate how do I use this kind of theory for page layout, and then I'm gonna use one of the illustration on Elements into the poster. So that is how I'm gonna show you guys the whole thing. So back to the content. So what is really good page layout, right? I think one of the very important concepts about page layout is the page focus. So any kind of design, like web pages, whatever, you have to find a focus for the design that you're working on. So with the focus, then you can direct people attention into looking at things, and with that you can just tell a much better story. So finding a focus is just very extremely important, and that is the whole concept about page layout. Finding a focus for your content, like the thing that you would like to sell or you would like to tell people about, and then to make everything else less prominent. So creating a focus and then make everything less prominent, and just have that focus to kind of direct people attention to looking at things. And so how does that concept apply to other things, right? So for example, if you look at movie poster, and that is one of the very good example that you can see how poster design are, right? You can see that, using a very eye-catching images to direct your attention into looking at the content, right? So movie poster, like the Joker is in here, and then direct your attention into looking at the text, which is the title of the film. And here as well, right? Catching your attention with the graphic, and then the Black Panther is in the bottom part. So again, right, Avenger, big image, Avenger, right? Like all this movie poster, they're basically doing the same thing, using something to catch your attention, and then you look at the less important content, right? Looking at the image, title, and then these kind of content that you usually don't even watch, right? So movie poster is one thing, and then you can also see that, website is another thing that use this kind of method a lot as well, right? On this website, which is a super clean, super beautiful website that I can even say enough good thing about this website is, you can see that the wheel or the tire keeps spinning. That is the main thing that I want to sell, right? So with this kind of blow up graphic so big on the page that you will look at this first and then you look at the content second, right? So we look at this first, look at the content second. It's just a very, very beautiful way to present your website, right? See, very beautiful, very big, and then everything else is less important, and that is how they play around with this, right? And then also on this website as well, you can see that, they bring out this message: we build the future with you, right? This is the message with typography. They just bring the whole thing out, right? And then with the background as well, it's subtly animating to kind of draw your attention into this entire thing, the message. And then after you read this, you click the next button in here, right? So you read this, you click the next button, but this is definitely the catching part of the entire thing, right? And lastly, let's look at some poster design as well, just random poster on Pinterest. And we're not going to go through all of these, but some are good, some are not so good, but we're going to go through some of them. So for example, for this one, right, you can see that, the KF is where catching your attention. You look at this first and you look at the content second. For this girl as well, the girl right in the middle, you look at the girl first and then you look at the content behind her. This one as well, the Mount Fuji, you look at the mountain first and then you look at the text above it. And then this one, I'm not too sure about this one, right? It feels like content just flowing around, doesn't really have a focus. So I would say this one is a little bit less good. I like the color though, but the position just not very catching. And this one, you look at the girl first and then content on the side. The tree first, content on the side. This one, look at the car first, and then the dock, and then the vertical title, and then you look at some of the contents, right? So I think a good page layout is really directing your attention to looking at things without your mind, without your brain to think about it too much, right? This one, the guy, the gun is pointing up, and then you will look at this, and then you will look at the content text about them, and then some other content in here. So that is the hierarchy that people are telling you to look at, right? So you can see a lot of poster design, they're using the same kind of method, typography, looking down at the image and then looking back up, right? So this is how people are playing with their type of content. How do they organize them? So just keep in mind, creating one focus, direct people attention from that focus that you create to the things around this kind of main focus, and that is how the core message or core theory about page layout. So for the second part of this video, like I mentioned, I'm going to be using an illustration from Elements and just kind of like demonstrate how I would design the page layout with the content that I have on the page. And this is what the page looks like. And you can see that I have an illustration in here. I have some content that I pull from Elements. And note that this is not a very polished design. I'm just trying to design this within 10 minutes or even less than that. So nothing is going to be great or perfect or anything. I'm not going to polish it, but just to show you guys how I'm going to play with that. So before I start, I'm just going to make the before and after photo so you know like what it's going to look like. So I think based on what we have here, we have a logo. So I think I'm just going to move the logo a little bit top in here to just create the header. And then I like what I think is because based on the content we have, right, I think this is going to be the title that I would like to catch people's attention to be looking at. So design without limits, just going to put it out here. So people are going to read from here, and then some other content down below. So let's get started. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to blow up this text. I don't know how big it should be, but let's try like 250. I think it's big enough. I think it's looking good. this size, because I want people to look at, you know, the design, like this typography first and then the image on the side, right? So that is what I'm gonna do. Definitely give it a lot more room to breathe for the test. Probably not that much, but let's try to use. Yeah, I think that looks okay. So this is going to be the focus, right? Design without limits, and then definitely blow it up a little bit more. So that is, you know, the focus of that, design without limits. So element, design without limits, and then looking at this and then looking at the graphic itself. So I'm gonna blow up this graphic to just kind of make it a little bit more eye-catching, and because that is one of the main focus on this page as well. So yeah, this look big enough. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drag it down below here, and you can see that, you know, the graphic testing here is not that pop. So what I have to do is to just make it pop a little bit better, and by changing some of the colors on it. So in here, just changing it. In here as well, maybe instead of that, just have it to be a gradient, so I can have, you know, the left to be a little bit less, a little bit lighter, and the right to be a little bit darker, right? So in here like that, left to be a little bit lighter. But then again, right, like this is just a quick exercise. I don't even want to tweak too much about these elements because I don't want this video to be very long. And this definitely doesn't represent their brand as well. Just keep in mind, right? Like I'm not doing anything to make their brands or anything like that, right? So it's not representing their brands, but it's just to demonstrate how I would play with the page layout, right? So after that, you know, the third element that I would like to include is this, right? This is basically the description about elements, and I'll just use that to put it on here, right? Like something like that. Again, right? Like I'm just gonna make it not too big, not too small, maybe something around that in here. And so some description, right? Read that and then read the description text. Maybe make it 50. I don't know. Yeah, 50 cents looks a little bit better, right? Yeah, it looks a little bit better. Again, some around here. So read this, go there, and then also, what else do we have? We have this call to action here, so I do want to bring this up a little bit more upfront, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put the description up here, and then definitely this description need to be kind of highlighted, right? Because this is kind of like a call to action that I think people should be paying a bit more attention to. And 16.5 I think is a great deal, by the way. And this is how much you pay for a month to use their service after the free trial. And I think it's a great deal just to putting out there, and definitely give it a bit more room to breathe. And here's not enough, so maybe like do like 80 or 70 like that. And then I'm gonna make this whole thing bold as well, right? Like this is gonna be the focus point. And also I think it's not enough to highlight this part, right? Because this is an important part. So what I can do with it is to just give it a background here like that, right? Just go to the back, and then instead of making it like this, I'm just gonna make it give it a color, right? I can grab a color from here, and then I can make it a little bit like this as well, and it definitely doesn't look good. So I'll make it, let's say the gradient goes that way to the other side, right? And this one maybe, yeah, like maybe this one goes here like this. Just make it center as well, right? Like you make them center. I don't know how long this video is gonna take, but I may speed up the whole thing if it take too long. So yeah, you get the idea. I mean, it's definitely not. I mean, it's definitely not polished, right? I don't want to polish everything. I don't want to spend too much time on it. But yeah, you get the idea of like how it works, right? So again, not spending way too much time in here making it look good. Just trying to limit myself to do the whole thing in 5 minutes. Okay, let's move on. So for the fonts like that, I'm just gonna pull them all out, right? So the fonts, sorry, for this kind of description about the surface, what you can get, like what you're gonna get outside of it. So I'm gonna just pull them all out in here. They have 5 actually. They have the unlimited downloads as well. But I think unlimited download. Yeah, I'm gonna try to put it somewhere up here. So let's just pull out all of these content first, and then we can play around with the details. So okay, so put it up in here. So we have what, like 1, 2, 3. By the way, they have unlimited downloads as well. Okay, so I'm just gonna duplicate this. Unlimited downloads. So what my thinking is, you go from here to here and then reading the contents and then going to the call to action, and then eventually I want people to be looking at this as well. So what I'm gonna do with this is I'm just gonna lay them out side by side down below in here, somewhere around this area, and I'm gonna have them to be all center as well. So of course, right, you can do something a little bit more polished for this kind of content. But then again, right, I don't want to spend too much time. One thing that I will probably do if I have more time to work on this is I'm just gonna align them a little bit better like this, you know, like that. And then like one thing that I will probably do too is to make these guys a little bit bolder, a little bit bigger. Maybe even like bigger than what I have in here, right? Maybe even like blow it up to 60. But then again, you get the idea, right? I think this video is definitely not like a complete design for the whole thing. It's just to show you what I would have done. What I would do if I'm working on a page like this. So again, it's definitely not finished. Finally, I'm just gonna do some final touch up of that. Again, it's not great, but you get the idea, right? So eventually something is going to look like this, right? So again, now you can compare the before and after again, right? Like this is something like that, right? It's just laying out the page. You can compare the before and after. Before is like that, and then if you just randomly put in your text, right, it's not going to look good for sure. But then after that, right, you just kind of lay out, align your elements a little bit better, and that is how I would design the page. And again, don't take it as elements. This is just something that I quickly come up with, right? So that's pretty much it for the video. But before I end it, just want to say it again, you know, do go check out Elements and sign up for an account with my link in the description down below. And you know, like it's only $16.5 per month and you get unlimited downloads. So I think you get a much better value from Element than a lot of other sites. So check them out. I think they're great. And if you like the content, definitely give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel as well. Follow me on the social media links down below, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Cheers.